Hello Tarot fans, welcome to Forecast Friday with your fantastic host Blue Sicx. Now, before we start the main video, those of you who've been following me on social media would have noticed that I've recently received a new deck. And I was going to do this as an unboxing, however, being impatient, I've already had a look through. So what I'm going to do with this, I will be doing a proper review of it rather than unboxing. And I'm trying to work, I think I'm trying to work on how I do my reviews so a little bit more smooth, so don't feel as clunky like this intro. But what we will be doing today, we'll be using the Murder of Crow Tarot, which I've used before and I still think is really cool. I was just in the mood for something a bit familiar and something a little darker. That probably says more about my state than anything else. So, just a shuffle. I do hope you're all doing really well. Things are gradually improving in the good old UK. Hopefully, we've got a nice little road, for those of you in the US, I know we've got a nice little roadmap now of things we can start doing at what sort of dates, providing we're all good boys, girls, etc. And there's a whole thing about Mr. Potato Head going on at the moment as well, which I think is kind of funny. But if you are new, don't forget to like, share and subscribe and hit that bell for notifications. Now we're going to be doing our weekly forecast, and in this we'll be picking one card for each day of next week, plus an additional card which is the base card, which is the root of the question or the situation. So for Monday we start with the Page of Swords. So on the Monday we're looking at that good feeling of not triumph, but more of the aim to be greater, to improve upon yourself in a very specific sort of way, and not necessarily like a self-esteem way, but more of like being able to project yourself how you want to be seen rather than how you are seen. Now, it's not necessarily in the case of being someone you're not, but more trying to highlight the positive aspects of yourself that other people might not necessarily see, or a way that you don't necessarily think people actually see. It's like, well, I'm a pretty good person because of all this, but no one really sees that. So let's see if I can kind of project more of my positivity that way. On Tuesday we have the Queen of Swords, and so the Queen of Swords on Tuesday, there's going to be kind of not quite an opposing force, but it's going to be someone who doesn't necessarily pick up what you're putting down and kind of sees it more as a challenge, because obviously if you're showing yourself off more as confident and more capable, that's going to make what's the word I'm looking for? That's going to make some of the more not uncomfortable, the people who aren't insecure, that's the word I'm looking for. Those who are very insecure in their position might take that as a threat. So there may be pushback. It's not necessarily warranted pushback, but it's pushback because they feel that they are going to be usurped, even though that's not your intention. So there's going to be pushback, but that's just on them. That's got nothing to do, that's their issue to deal with. You saw me shuffle. So on Wednesday we have the King of Wands. There we go. So Wednesday, there is someone of a managerial position. So this is more kind of work related, and so it's someone in a higher position is kind of going to be an influence of inspiration to you. So they're picking up what you're putting down. Man, I should really stop saying stuff like that. But that they have noticed your the confidence and capabilities, and they're kind of going to push you to go further, not in a forceful way, but kind of that they're now they're in the position to see your potential, and they're going to encourage your potential and push you further forward, or at least help you further forward. So on Thursday we have the Ten of Wands, and so Thursday, a lot of stuff's just going to kind of happen at once, and so it's going to feel like there's a lot of all of a sudden it feels like there's a lot you have to deal with, or at least in regards to this one, rather than carrying a whole bunch of stuff, they're carrying one large load. So it feels like it's going to feel like you're given too much responsibility at once, and it's like, great, you can do this, brilliant. So here's this thing, you can definitely do this, and it's going to feel that this is going to be a task too much to do. There is going to be that feeling of being overwhelmed with this new task, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but it might come on too suddenly. Friday we have the Hermit. Do you like the Hermit in this one? I have the Hermit, and so the Hermit is basically saying to basically slow down, take your time, and maybe take it at a direction that wouldn't necessarily be the traditional way. So kind of you still have to kind of do things your way, and maybe take some time out to process what needs to be done, rather than trying to rush this thing, because obviously if you're being given a large task, you need to be able to manage it in a way that's actually manageable. Saturday we have the Ace of Swords. So the Ace of Swords is basically saying to be upfront, direct, and work on your communication skills, or be inspired to work upon it. So going back to what we were saying on Thursday, you're now being given stuff you might not necessarily you don't feel that you can deal with. So the best thing to do is to kind of communicate how you feel about it, and if you feel able to do it, and talk through it. Because the other thing about managers is a manager can go, okay, brilliant, take all this stuff, but there's nothing wrong in saying, hey, this might be a bit too much at once. On Sunday we have the Three of Cups. So Three of Cups, Sunday, take some time out, and just go out and just speak to people. If you're in a position where you can meet in person and social distance wise, do that. Do Zoom calls. Go out and just communicate with some of your old friends. Just spend some time on Sunday in a social capacity. Now, your root card, we have the Page of Coins. So the main source of the week is being able to set root and kind of allow things to grow. So you're now starting to work on your plan. So you're sitting down and kind of like, I now need to start achieving more. And so you kind of need to start building your roadmap, start laying down seeds and allowing them to grow extensively. So your main part of the week is building a life plan. Not necessarily, in 10 years time, but more like, where do you see yourself in the next 6 to 12 months sort of thing. So it's starting off slow, and you're working your way to building up your structure so you can actually go further later. So this is more about work and your profession. So I hope you enjoyed. Once again, don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Links to all my social media are down at the bottom, and I'll catch you all on the flip side.